Hey everyone, welcome to our sushi class. I'm Katie Poppy. I'm one of the registered dietitians at Clem&Thyme Nutrition, and I'm going to be showing you guys some sushi recipes today. I'm going to start off, I'm going to show you a brown rice, a brown sushi rice, and your more traditional seaweed sushi roll with a couple variations. And then after that, our dietitian Heidi Foster is going to demonstrate a couple different recipes. One with a collard green wrap, a sushi with a collard green wrap, which is super fun, and then a sushi with a cucumber outside. So we've got some really fun stuff for you. I'm really excited to share this with you. We chose sushi for one of our summer classes this year because sushi I think can be a little bit intimidating for some people, but it's actually really simple. So we just wanted to show you hands-on how to do it, how simple it is, and how creative you can be with sushi. Also, we really like sushi because it kind of offers everything that we want in a meal. We've got our protein, so all these recipes have a nice source of protein. That's something we always want in a balanced meal. A lot of these do have like your healthy fats in there. We really want some healthy fats in our meal. And then we have our produce in all of these recipes. So our produce is going to offer us fiber and antioxidants and all kinds of vitamins and minerals. So sushi's really rich in produce, and that's two things we always want in all of our meals is protein and produce. And then some of these have a little bit of carbohydrates, like complex carbohydrates, which is great. Something we always want to keep kind of in moderation. So great option for lunch, for dinner, something you can make ahead of time. So we're so excited to share these recipes with you. And we hope you enjoy it, hope you have fun. Let's get cooking. Okay, so first recipe is going to be a sushi cooked brown rice. So, you know, with your sushi, you can use brown rice, white rice. You can even use cauliflower rice or other riced vegetables would be great, but I'm going to show you a simple brown rice. Brown rice in comparison to white rice has a little more fiber, a little more protein, a little more antioxidants, vitamins, minerals. So I tend to prefer and recommend consuming brown rice more than white rice. So the first step for making sushi cooked brown rice is to cook the rice. So I have some water boiling on the stove. You can use a rice cooker. I'm just going to cook some on the stove just to show you don't have to have a rice cooker. So I have about a cup plus 2/3 of a cup boiling. And then I'm going to add about a cup of rinsed brown rice to that. I'm going to mix it all together, cover it up, let it sit for about 18 to 25 minutes, basically until the rice has absorbed most of the water and the rice is nice and tender. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that started. All right, so I have my brown rice cooking on the stove right now. I forgot to mention, you do actually wanna turn the heat down to the low setting while you're letting it cook for that 18 to 25 minutes. So next, while that's cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and get my kind of flavor mixture going. So basically in another small saucepan, you wanna mix together 2 tablespoons of sugar, 3 tablespoons of rice vinegar, and half a teaspoon of salt. All right, so I'm just gonna put these on the stove and just heat them until the sugar's dissolved. All right, here I have my sugar, salt, and vinegar mixture that I took off the heat once all of the sugar and salt were dissolved. Let it cool down a little bit. So I'm gonna mix that into my cooked, really steaming hot brown rice. It's gonna look a little bit liquidy, but that's okay. It'll kind of thicken up as the liquids evaporate. So this should be sticky and completely dry before you use it for your sushi. So you might need to let it sit for a little while. You're gonna wanna let it cool down because you're gonna be using your hands to get all the rice onto the seaweed here in a moment. So you might need to let it sit for a little while. You can put it in your fridge. You can make this ahead of time if you want. So while the rice is cooling down, I'm gonna go ahead and prep my veggies. You can really use any vegetables you want. I'm gonna use a red bell pepper, some carrots and cucumber, and some microgreens, or you can use sprouts. But again, like I said, sushi's really versatile, so you could use really any vegetable. You can use beets, radishes, cabbage, really anything you want can go in your sushi. You can really get creative and experiment. So I'm gonna start and cut my red bell pepper. All right, so you really want nice and thin slices for your sushi. So there's my pepper. Now I'm gonna cut up my cucumber. Again, we want really nice and thin slices for our cucumber. No right or wrong way to really cut any vegetable. All right, I'm gonna cut up some baby carrots because that's what I had available. So now that I have our vegetables prepped, let's put our sushi together. Okay, our first sushi roll. I have this bamboo sushi rolling mat. I don't know the actual correct terminology for one of these, but you can find them pretty cheap on Amazon, in your grocery store. You can find them a lot of places and they're really inexpensive. So we're gonna use this to roll our sushi. So I'm gonna put this down with the little bamboo sticks going horizontally so that I can roll it up once I get everything assembled. So I'm gonna grab a sheet of seaweed, which again, really easy to find just in any grocery store. It's often called nori or like a toasted seaweed. So I'm gonna set this down. All right, and then I'm gonna get about 1/4 cup of my brown rice. And I'm gonna scoop this right onto the seaweed. And the rice is gonna be pretty sticky, so it helps to have wet hands when you're doing this. And then you're just gonna use your hands to spread the rice out. You want a pretty thin layer. It's not gonna feel like much rice, but once you roll it up, it'll feel just right. Okay, and you want to make sure that you get your all of your ingredients all the way as far to each side as possible, so you have ingredients throughout the whole sushi roll. Okay, so now I'm going to add all of my ingredients for the inside of my sushi roll on the 3/4 of the sheet closest to me, the sheet of seaweed. Okay, so first I'm going to put on some carrots and some bell peppers and some cucumbers and some smoked salmon. I'm using smoked salmon because it's pretty accessible, it's pretty affordable, and if you're not into raw fish, that's okay. You can use smoked salmon, has a nice smoky flavor. Heidi's gonna use some of the sashimi or the raw sushi fish in hers, so she'll discuss that and where to find that. So this is our protein component. Remember, we want that protein. Salmon's really rich in anti-inflammatory omega-3s, so this is a really good option for your protein. And then I'm gonna add some sprouts. So I have some microgreens here, which are really fun. You could use spinach if you wanted to, or sprouts. So I'm gonna throw some of those on there. And then a little bit of cream cheese. Yum. And this is right out of the fridge, so it's pretty firm. So I'm actually gonna kind of roll it up. But you can cut it into squares or whatever works for you, or you can use a cream cheese spread. Heidi's gonna use a dairy-free cream cheese spread for hers. All kinds of variety here. So I'm gonna throw that. Actually, I'm gonna put that a little closer to me. Okay, look how pretty that is. It's gonna be really delicious. I'm so excited. So first, you're actually not gonna use the bamboo sushi roller at first. You're gonna kind of use your hands to roll. Until you get your vegetables covered. And then you're gonna take your mat and just squeeze and compress and just keep rolling. It takes a little bit of feel. I'm not a pro. Just kind of make sure the seaweed gets kind of tucked under there. Be gentle, but firm enough so that everything sticks together. Oh, got a little tear. That's okay. No worries. I'm gonna give it a nice squeeze. All right, and there we've got our sushi roll. Takes a little bit of practice, but practice makes perfect. Don't beat yourself up, you'll get the hang of it. I've made sushi many times and I ripped my seaweed here, but again, no worries. So you wanna make sure you get a really sharp knife and then cut pieces, I mean, however big you want. I typically go about 1 inch. All right, so that was a little bit messy because I let my seaweed rip. You want to be really careful to not let it rip. I promise it doesn't really typically rip that easily. I think my rice may have been a little bit too warm, so I'd recommend making it a little bit more in advance and letting it cool down, even make it a day ahead of time, and you should be a little bit better off than I was. But even with the seaweed ripping, the sushi rolls still look awesome. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to make a really nice spicy mayonnaise to go on top. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just eyeball this recipe, but you can do about a tablespoon or 2 of mayonnaise. I really like this Sir Kensington's mayonnaise because it's made with avocado oil. I got this at Costco. It's a really good deal. Heidi's gonna show you a Sir Kensington's spicy mayonnaise, which has already done all this for you. So if you want to skip a step. And then I'm gonna add some sriracha, about a teaspoon. Okay, I'm gonna mix this up, and then you could just use this as a dipping sauce if you wanted to. I like to be fancy and kind of drizzle it on in a fancy pattern. So there's lots of different ways to do this, but I'm gonna Put this into a plastic bag. Cut the corner. Drizzle on. You're all done with our first sushi roll. Okay, so for this next sushi roll, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. Spread about a quarter of a cup of our brown sushi rice all over the seaweed. And then my protein this time is going to be chicken. So if you're not a fan of seafood, that's okay. You can still make sushi. That's totally fine. Chicken's a really good source of protein. So I'm actually using canned chicken. You could use like a pulled chicken, like a crock pot pulled chicken. I'm sure that would work great. There's a wide variety of proteins you could use. All right, so I have my chicken. I've mixed it together with about the same portions of mayonnaise and sriracha that I did for the spicy mayonnaise. I kind of just eyeballed it. I've mixed it all up. You could use, like I said, you could use chicken, but you could use really any protein you want. You could use tofu, tempeh, you could use edamame, you could use shrimp, you could use really anything, tuna, canned salmon, really whatever you like. So don't feel like just because you don't want to eat maybe raw fish or fish that you can't have sushi. You can totally use so many different types of proteins. Okay, so now I'm gonna assemble this next roll. I'm gonna do really the same ingredients as the other roll, but again, you can really make this your own, use whatever vegetables you love, whatever proteins you love. So again, you wanna make sure you spread your ingredients on the front, like 3/4 of the seaweed closest to you. Okay, and some red bell peppers, and some carrots, some sprouts or microgreens, some cucumber. All right, I'm gonna try to roll this without ripping the seaweed this time. All right, so now I'm gonna cut this again into about 1-inch pieces. All right, and now I've got our second sushi roll. So with any sushi roll you make, you can serve with some of the spicy mayonnaise that we made on top. You could put some pickled ginger on the side, some wasabi, some sesame seeds. You could serve it with a little bit of soy sauce or tamari or coconut aminos for dipping, really whatever you want. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you feel a little bit more confident in putting together some sushi rolls. I hope you enjoy Heidi's recipes and enjoy. Hello, my name's Heidi and I am taking over the rest of this sushi video. So today we are going to actually use collard greens as one of our wrapping materials. So I have some collard greens here I picked up from Whole Foods. They're organic, and I'm just going to rinse them off. Oh wow, these are nice, big, beautiful greens. Look at this, look at the size of that. So I rinsed the greens off. Now I'm going to show you a little trick that I don't believe we discussed in our little handout. So first I'm going to start with just trimming the stems out a little bit. So this big part is pretty hard. So this is what I'm going to put into actually our pot of hot water. So I have water that's just boiling, and I'm going to drop it in for just a couple seconds and then pull it back out. And that should make this a little softer and easier to roll. Now you can do it raw like this, and I believe that's how the recipe originally intended for you to use it, but I feel like it's a little bit easier without it being raw, with it being just like slightly cooked, blanched. Throwing it in there for a moment. Just for a moment until it's a little softer. So this, you can tell it's softened up quite a bit. And this one is ready for wrapping too. So I have these nice, beautiful big leaves that are perfect for wrapping. I'm going to put this one on a towel to the side, and then this is the one we're going to start with. I'm going to grab another towel just to pat it down so it's nice and dry, right? We don't want our sushi wet. All right. Throw it on top of the other one. Okay. So here we go. Now we have a beautiful base. You can throw all types of vegetables onto this. You can put any kind of protein you want. You could do chicken, you could do salmon, you could do tuna. You can do so much with this. I'm actually gonna throw a little hummus on here. This is my absolute favorite brand of hummus. It's called Ithaca. I know our owner, Leslie, really loves cedars, and I recently tried that one too, and I like it a lot, but Ithaca, the smoked chipotle, is just like my favorite hummus. So I'm gonna start with a little bit of this hummus, and that's gonna be really nice, add some texture and flavor right in there. All right, so we have our hummus, which is just kind of spread out, and then we're going to add some veggies. So I pre-chopped a couple veggies here. I have some cucumber, and I just chopped them really fine, like little matchsticks. And so put them kind of throughout, spread them out, and then carrot, and I chopped that very finely, little matchsticks as well. And then a tiny bit of red bell pepper that again I chopped very finely. So I've got all those things in there. And then this one is great with some herbs. So I've got some fresh cilantro. I'm just pulling the stems off and putting the big beautiful leaves on there. This is gonna be awesome. I'm so excited. Yum. All right, so we have our veggies on the base. And then for this one, I actually ordered some sashimi. So you could, basically it's like raw salmon or raw tuna. but apparently it's a B sushi grade according to the seafood counter at Whole Foods. It needs to be frozen for a year, and apparently that ensures that it's free of parasites. So you cannot order it from the seafood counter. You have to go to the sushi counter and order just like cuts of sushi grade salmon or sashimi. So here is my sushi grade sashimi flour, and I'm just going to throw a couple pieces in the middle here. So we're gonna wrap it. To wrap it, you just fold the sides in and fold this over. And you don't need like the sushi wrapper or anything. You can just roll it. Now, this is a great base for like normal wraps for, you know, you can put like chicken in here, you can put whatever you want in here. And you can cut this tiny, like little pieces of sushi and eat it like sushi. Or you could also just kind of cut it in half and eat it this way, like a little sushi wrap. And you can pour a little soy sauce or wasabi or pickled ginger down there. This is my favorite kind of pickled ginger. It is organic sushi ginger from Sushi People. I think it's called the Sushi People, or the Ginger People. The Ginger People. And it is just organic ginger, organic cane sugar, organic rice vinegar, water, salt, and it does have a little bit of citric acid in there. Wasabi, I feel like a lot of times when you get those little packets, I'm not always sure what's in there, right? Like it doesn't come with an ingredient list. I found this sushi, this wasabi powder, and it's just horseradish, mustard, and wasabi. And it's from Japan, and I got it at Fresh Market, and that's what I typically use, and I actually mix it into my coconut aminos. And so then I just pour the coconut aminos with a little wasabi and a little piece of ginger on there, and that's how I make my sushi at home, and I think it's really yummy, delicious, and such a great, you know, snack. With this one, with the hummus, you know, the flavor profile might be a little different. You could pick a more neutral hummus, or you could probably eat it without the coconut aminos or ginger, just like this. So this is one of my favorite ways to do sushi. I've got a nice long cucumber. It just had a little hummus on it from the cutting board. But this is a beautiful, nice long English cucumber, and I just washed it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it into kind of like little sections, maybe about this big, a couple inches. And I actually like using my grapefruit spoon for this, but you could use like a melon scooper or just like a smaller spoon. Scoop it out this way. You're just gonna scoop the seeds out of there. So this is what we've got right here. It's a nice hollow little piece of cucumber. I got it hollow as far down as I could. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fill it with my toppings. So I love a little avocado in here. You want some protein, so some salmon, you know, chicken. You can use like sashimi salmon. You can use like a packet of Safe Catch. When I use Safe Catch, I don't typically choose the flavored versions. I choose an unflavored version like this. salmon or tuna. Just the wild Alaskan salmon is great too. That's actually what I'm going to use today for this one. So I'm using a can of just like wild Alaskan salmon. The ingredients in this can are just salmon and salt. And I am going to press the liquid out. Okay. And then I'm gonna get a little spoon. So one of them is gonna be for some salmon. Okay. And so it's pretty dry now. I pressed the water out. I am going to add Sir Kensington's Chipotle Mayo. So this stuff is like one of my favorite mix-ins, and I'm just gonna add a big glob, see where it takes us there. I love this on top too. You know, sometimes you get sushi with like spicy mayo. I love just putting the Sir Kensington's Chipotle Mayo in like a little sandwich bag and then cutting the little corner out and drizzling it over the sushi so it kind of looks fancy like that sushi would get at the store or at you know, like a restaurant. So, oh, it looks like that was just the perfect amount of mayo. So, got my mayo and salmon, and I'm just going to throw some in there. Sometimes it's nice to have a little butter knife to kind of press it down in there, because there are lots of other toppings you want to squeeze in, you know. You can put some rice in there. I've been cooking a little rice over here, and I know Katie's gonna show you how to do sticky sushi rice with brown rice, but you can just throw a little bit of that in there if you want. And then I shove my veggies in. So I'm gonna shove some bell pepper. I'm gonna avoid doing the cucumber. I'm gonna do some carrot in here. And you just shove as much as you can in. You want it to be tightly packed so it doesn't fall out when you cut it into little pieces of sushi. Some avocado is great in here too. So just jam it all in there as much as possible, okay? And then you slice it. Now that I've got a big mess in front of me. Okay, so that was the very end. So here are some beautiful little slices of cucumber sushi, really yummy, delicious, and super easy. And again, you don't have to slice it up even, you can eat it as is.